What did it feel like to stare death in the face on a Civil War battlefield? To march through mud, starving and sick, knowing you might never see your family again? Welcome to Time Frame Unveiled, where we uncover the raw human stories history often forgets. I'm Leo, and today we're stepping into the lives of Civil War soldiers, ordinary men who endured extraordinary hardships. From the chaos of battle to the horrors of prison camps and the scars that lasted long after the war ended, this is their story. Hit that subscribe button and let's dive into the brutal reality of life on the battlefield. It's 1863, and you're a 19-year-old farmer's son from Ohio, or maybe a blacksmith from Georgia. You've been conscripted into the Civil War, and your life is no longer your own. You're one of 2.1 million Union soldiers, or 880,000 Confederates who fought in this brutal conflict. Your day starts at 5 a.m. with a bugle call, and you march 15 to 20 miles through mud and rain, carrying a 50-pound pack. Your musket, ammunition, bedroll, and a few precious items from home, like a tintype of your sweetheart or a letter from your mother. Your boots, if you still have them, are falling apart, and your feet are blistered and bleeding. Food, you're lucky if you get hardtack, a rock-hard biscuit made of flour and water, often so old it's infested with weevils. Soldiers called. It's sheet iron because you had to soak it in coffee or smash it with a rifle butt to eat it. Fresh meat was rare, often just salt pork so rancid it was called sow belly. Clean water was even harder to find. Most streams were polluted with human waste, spreading dysentery and typhoid. Historian James McPherson estimates that 1 in 4 soldiers contracted dysentery, and it killed more men than bullets did. For every battle death, 2 soldiers died of disease, over 400,000 in total. Then there's the battle itself. At Gettysburg in 1863, over 50,000 men became casualties in just 3 days. Imagine standing in a line, shoulder to shoulder, as cannonballs tear through your ranks. The mini ball, a new bullet design, shattered bones, often requiring amputation without anesthesia. A soldier named Elisha Hunt Rhodes wrote in his diary after Antietam, "The air was filled with the hiss of bullets and the scream of shells. I saw men torn to pieces." Between battles, you'd sit by a campfire, writing letters home on damp paper, or whittling a spoon from a piece of wood to keep your hands busy. You'd sing songs like "Tenting Tonight" to lift your spirits, but the fear of tomorrow never left you. By 1862, both sides were running out of volunteers, so they turned to conscription. In the North, the Enrollment Act of 1863 drafted men aged 20 to 45, but there was a catch. You could pay $300, about a year's wages for a laborer, to hire a substitute and avoid service. This loophole meant the rich stayed home while the poor were forced to fight, leading to cries of a rich man's war, a poor man's fight. In New York City, the draft sparked the deadliest riots in U.S. history. From July 13 to 16, 1863, Irish immigrants and working-class men rampaged through the city, lynching black citizens and burning buildings. Over 120 people died, and the violence only stopped when federal troops arrived. The South had its own draft, starting in 1862, for men aged 18 to 35, later raised to 45. Exemptions for plantation owners with 20 or more slaves caused resentment among poor farmers who felt they were fighting for the wealthy elite. By 1864, the Confederacy was so desperate that they conscripted boys as young as 14 and men as old as 60. If you were captured in battle, your nightmare got worse. Prison camps were death traps. Andersonville, a Confederate prison in Georgia, was the worst. Built to hold 10,000 Union prisoners, it crammed in 45,000 by 1864. The 26-acre pen had no shelter, just an open field surrounded by a wooden stockade. A tiny creek ran through it, but it was an open sewer spreading disease. Prisoners starved on a daily ration of a few ounces of cornmeal and a spoonful of beans, if they were lucky. Over 13,000 died, nearly a third of all inmates. Survivor. Robert Kellogg wrote, "I saw men so hungry they ate rats. Their bones protruded like skeletons." In the north, Elmira Prison in New York was nicknamed Hellmira. It held 12,000 Confederate prisoners, and 3,000 died in 1 year, a 24% death rate. Prisoners froze in unheated tents during the brutal winter of 1864, and smallpox swept through the camp unchecked. The war ended on April 9, 1865 at Appomattox, but for many, the suffering was just beginning. The Civil War killed 620,000 men, more than all other U.S. wars combined up to that point. That's 2% of the population, equivalent to 6 million people today. Survivors faced a grim reality. Over 60,000 amputations were performed during the war. Surgeons worked so fast, they were called butchers. A Union soldier named William Ormsby lost his leg at Fredericksburg and later wrote, "I returned home a cripple, unable to work, a burden to my family." There were no government pensions for most veterans until years later. So many ended up begging on the streets of cities like Boston and Richmond. Families were torn apart. In the South, 1 in 3 white men of military age died, leaving countless widows and orphans. A Confederate widow named Mary Chestnut wrote in her diary, "There is no home left, only ashes and graves." The Southern economy was devastated. Charleston and Atlanta were in ruins, and the end of slavery meant plantations had no labor. In the North, industrial growth boomed, but the gap between rich and poor widened. Immigrant veterans, especially the Irish, faced discrimination and poverty. For the 4 million freed Black Americans, the post-war reality was a mix of hope and struggle. The 13th Amendment abolished slavery in 1865, but freedom didn't mean equality. Many stayed in the South as sharecroppers, trapped in a cycle of debt. That was slavery, in all but name. In the North, Black veterans faced racism and segregation. Frederick Douglass warned in 1865, "Slavery is not abolished until the black man has the ballot." The Civil War's legacy wasn't just physical destruction. It was a nation still grappling with its deepest wounds. That was the brutal reality of life on the Civil War battlefield, a story of courage, suffering, and survival that shaped America forever. If this journey moved you, give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. Next week, we'll explore the Reconstruction era and the fight for a new America. Don't miss it. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a story. This is Leo from Timeframe Unveiled, and I'll see you in the next video. Keep exploring history